Welcome to another episode of the Dining at Disney podcast, your ultimate source for delicious discussion about dining at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. I am your host, Kristen, and with me, I have a very special guest, Park Hopper John from WDW Park Hoppers and Disney Parks Podcast. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I have I have a little bit of a head cold, so my throat's a little scratchy. So please forgive that. But other than that, I am very happy to be here and excited to talk about not only just magical dining and not only just what's going on at Ravello. Just I love hanging out with you, and you and Aljon are two of my top 2 or 3 favorite people on the planet. Right after my wife and my mom and my grand. Well, you're in the top 10.
After the family.
After family, yeah.
After family.
So yeah, it's great. Very excited. Looking forward to this chat.
I am too. For those of you wanting to know what we're going to be talking about, Magical Dining Month is coming up very soon. As always, there are plenty of restaurants in the Walt Disney World Resort area that take part in this. And one of them is a favorite of ours, and it's Ravello over at Four Seasons Orlando. And Dining at Disney was invited to check out that new menu, which happened Tuesday night. They gave a little sneak peek for some of us to see what interesting dishes that Chef Fabrizio came up with. And John, as well as Tony Casanova from Disney Parks Podcast, went ahead and went in my place, and they got to eat all the delicious food. Yeah. So Park Hopper John is here to tell us all about this delicious menu.
Yeah, I got to say, thank you for letting me go, because I think I got to go, I think last year as well. And they did not disappoint. Chef Fabrizio and his team are amazing. And what makes it even more phenomenal is Chef's got 2 new chefs cooking with him. Some of the other head chefs have gone on to bigger, better things, which he highly encourages. They didn't get fired. I mean, Fabrizio is really great as a leader and as a training chef, and he fully expects his team to move on. So there's always some turnaround. But Chef Will has only been there for a month and a half, which is impressive. But the other chef that we had was Ricardo, who's been with him for 3.5 months. And when we went, we were in the special dining room. There's a name for it, but it's their premier little kitchen area. You know, where
they do the classes.
Yeah, where they do the classrooms, their kitchen classroom. And Chef Fabrizio and Ricardo prepared all the dishes literally while we were watching. And to see those 2 gentlemen work together after only 3.5 months was truly a magical experience in and of itself. I was just floored to find out that Ricardo had only been there for a few months. And the food is incredible. And magical dining, this is the best time of year to be in Orlando. So do your listeners know a lot about magical dining? Would you like me to tell a little bit about that, or have you already covered that?
I have not covered it yet this year. So we definitely should talk about it so that they know that it's not just a benefit for whoever is eating the food, but it also helps the charity as well.
Absolutely. Visit Orlando.com, puts us on every year. And I think the list is 100+ restaurants in the Orlando area. And that's all the way from Disney, all the way up to North Orlando, all the way east to like Lake Nona area near the airport, and then out west like Winter Garden. And they have menus that create usually like a 3-course meal on Surprise Fix menu, and it's $35 per person to have a 3-course meal at some of the finest dining establishments in Orlando, places that you may or may not be able to visit because it's too cost prohibitive, like Ravello. I love Ravello, but it's expensive. It's a fine dining. It's fine Italian food. And they do this every year. And then part of the proceeds go to some nonprofits. So there's 2 nonprofits that are escaping me right now. But visitorlando.com will let you know that.
I actually know what they are.
Who are they?
It's Best Buddies and Down Syndrome Association of Central Florida.
Oh, cool. It's awesome. So the $35 per person gets you not only a great meal, it also helps and warms your heart because you help some people who could really use the assistance. So let's talk about Ravello. What Ravello does is they give you a menu, and on the menu you have the entire items that you can get for magical dining. You have your appetizer, you have your entree, you have your dessert. And 2 things that Ravello does, it's a little different from other places, is they also have add a course. So if you're there with a larger group and you'd like to try a little bit of everything, you can also add tomato and mozzarella focaccia bread. You can also add a margarita pizza, which is amazing, or a nice big heaping helping of spaghetti. So you get everything for, you have your entree, your other people at your table have entrees, and you can get something else. Or if you have children with you who are a little bit more picky, they got pizza, spaghetti, you're good to go. So that's an additional fee for those items. And then the other thing, the exciting thing is they've got 3 wines on the menu: a red, a white, and a sparkling wine. That what they've done is they've given deep discounts on the bottle of wine. So you can get a Pinot Grigio, classic Chianti, or a Prosecco, and they've given some discounts on the wine. So it's, you can save money and have an amazing meal all in one shot.
Other than actual champagne, the only other sparkling beverage I can drink is Prosecco.
Right.
Everything else gives me a terrible headache. So
and the cool things about these
on the menu
is they're all from Italy. All 3 wines are directly from Italy. So you're getting fine Italian food and fine Italian wine to pair with it. So, and I tried the Pinot Grigio and the Prosecco, and they were both c'est magnifique. Ooh, that's French. No. So yeah, it was great. So
bueno.
Es muy bueno. No,
right? That's Spanish.
Oh well.
I'm gonna remember it later.
Yeah,
because I know a little Spanish, and and Spanish and Italian have a lot of very similar words, which is why I said bueno instead of bene. I think it's bene, right?
I'm just a good old Southern boy from Atlanta. I don't know. So you want me to go down the menu?
Yeah, let's start with what we've got for appetizers to choose from.
All right. So for appetizers, you have a couple different choices. What you have is the first thing is called frizzella, papa al pomodoro, and mozzarella. So basically, you have the tomatoes and basil on top of some extra virgin olive oil, some greens, and I can't remember what chef called the it's not gravy, but the covering. But underneath there, you can see a little sliver of it is some focaccia bread. And normally this this appetizer is prepared from bread that's very, very old and very, very hard. And they mix water and olive oil and let it sit to soften up. But what chef wanted to do was to make it a little bit more palatable for the American sensibility. Use focaccia bread with some oil on top, and then put it on the grill for a little while. Mixed up some greens, some papa al pomodoro. So we've got big old chunks of mozzarella, and the tomatoes. Usually, our tomatoes are just thinly sliced and ground up in the traditional Italian version. So you got the tomatoes, and they got the puree and some greens underneath that. So that was phenomenal. Tony went with me, and Tony had that as his main, and I had the other appetizer, and we switched off. and they were both truly, truly magnificent. So that was the frizzella, and then next is what I had, which is the calamari. The calamari is crunchy zucchini with grape and calamari that is not fried, nor is it um, baked, or they cook it in a different way. It's big chunks of calamari with some radish and some, oh, I want to say it's what is it that they're always cooking on Hell's Kitchen that they never get right?
Oh gosh.
I'll think of it in a minute, but that's what the base is underneath there. Risotto, a little bit of
Yes,
risotto underneath
risotto.
there. And that was truly, I mean, we took the first bite, and I think everybody just kind of sat back and was chewing, and they were in another planet. It was so good. The flavors, the calamari was amazingly flavorful, and everything mixed well together. And I'm not a radish person per se, but everything was mixed well. It just accented the flavor. It was truly, truly amazing. So that was the appetizers for our meal. They also brought out a pizza, a margarita pizza for everybody to try. I didn't take a photo of the margarita pizza because everybody knows what pizza looks like. And there was a bowl of spaghetti, and everybody knows what spaghetti looks like, but everything was handmade.
That's the one thing that I really like about their pastas that makes it so delicious and so different than most Italian restaurants is
Right.
it's made in-house. So there's a huge difference between fresh made pasta and the stuff that comes from the box that's all hard and crunchy. There's a
Right.
big, big difference.
Absolutely. And the pizza there is, I mean, they've got a pizza oven. I don't know if it's wood fired, but it is. It's wood fired. They throw it out there, cook it. It's amazing. Ravello does a breakfast brunch on Saturdays and Sundays as a character breakfast, and they use the oven to cook some dishes there as well. And it's a lot of incredible food being prepared. And so you'll see that in everything they do, no matter what it is, from kids' dishes all the way up to the most adult, mature palate on the menu. Ravello is going to do it, and do it to a very high standard. And that's all Chef Fabrizio. So you want to move on to the entrees?
Yes, let's hear about the entrees.
All right. So the entrees, what you see there is the brozotto e polenta. So it's braised beef, Piedmont style. So you got beef short ribs and some Barbera wine sauce, and underneath there is a soft polenta. This is what Tony chose. And the minute he took a bite, his eyes rolled in the back of his head. It was just amazing. And the thing about it is short ribs are not in short supply at Disney. There's a lot of the nicer restaurants at Disney that offer short ribs, but I don't know if I've ever had braised short ribs this good, this flavorful, and sometimes they can be a little dry. These were absolutely not that. The polenta was incredible. It was 5-hour polenta, so they were cooking it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching. They brought this big dish out, and it was Chef Ricardo. He was working on this, and he would whip it up a little bit more, put a little bit more of the liquid in, which we were assuming was some type of broth, and then he'd taste it, season it. He'd let Chef taste it, season it, and then he'd whip it some more. And then by the time he got it to the plate, it was perfection personified. It was so good. This is if you're a gluten-free person, this is one of their gluten-free options. It's one of those things that you could really enjoy if you want to try something unique, but you don't want to stray too far off the meat and potatoes. So this would be a good entry into higher end food if you're not really into, you say things like polenta and you don't really know what it is. This is a good thing to try. So the next was what I had, because it had two things in it that I love. Three things, technically. It had shrimp, it had pasta, and it had olives. This was the Reginette pasta. It's shrimp, Regionette pasta, eggplant, olives, and some tomato sauce and some other spices there. You can actually see the big olives that were there. You can see the shrimp in it. It's not just the big shrimp. There's also little shrimp bits in there. The pasta was just this side of al dente. It was so good. And they were long strands. They were extruded pasta. Tony made a comment that he doesn't have this extruder, but after having this dish, he's going to have to go get one. It's fairly large serving. I'm a larger guy, and this serving was at least the size of my fist and a half. It was a large serving, and it was great. I shared some with Tony, and I had more, and it was from start to finish just phenomenal. The shrimp were very flavorful. They're fresh caught, obviously. Everything was seasoned great. It was amazing watching, because I don't think I've ever watched people put together in a professional kitchen the way that they cook the pasta and have everything ready. Just the timing. It was exactly like a dance to have everything ready to go. And it was good. It's my favorite. And again, it's another gluten-free option, by the way. So there's your 2 gluten-free options. And the last option they had for an entree as part of the regular Magical Dining was their Florida redfish with bell pepper, broccoli rabe, garlic, salsa verde, and potato. I'm sorry, I lied. This is the other gluten-free dish. The pasta with the shrimp is not gluten-free, because it's pasta, John. Sorry, cold medicine.
I was going to say something at the end.
Said, John, stop talking. Sound like an idiot. So one of the things the chef wanted to do was to feature the taste of Florida. So we got the Florida redfish. And when I say salsa verde, I don't mean salsa verde like you would get at a Mexican restaurant. I mean salsa verde, Italian salsa verde. This was not something that I didn't order this, and they didn't bring one to try, and nobody that I knew would allow me to take a bite off of it. So it's the only thing. But the word around the table was the fish was incredibly flaky, incredibly flavorful. It wasn't overpowering. If you wanted to try something a little different and have a taste of Florida with your Italian, this would be a great option. And like I said, this, along with your short ribs, is the other gluten-free option. And so then they had one other entree that you could order for an upcharge of $25. And it wasn't necessarily an entree. It's what they're calling a supplement. And it was 2 veal cutlets with Parmesan breadcrumb crust. Say that 10 times fast. With tomato, fondant, sauteed summer squash. They were super thin, super flavorful. I would give that a whirl if you've never had really, really good veal. The downside was when they brought it out, they had one piece of veal on top of the other one, and some of the breading was coming off the second one. They didn't give quite enough time to solidify. So that's the only downside. It was a very rare misstep, but independent of that, the veal was very, very flavorful. It was really, really good. Super thin too. So it wasn't a big old hunk of veal, and it just didn't, sometimes veal can be hit and miss. This was a hit, even with the breading coming off of it.
I can't do veal anymore. My mom ruined it for me when I was a kid. We used to go to an Italian restaurant, and it was either the second or third time I had ordered it. Right. And she never asked, because we would go with my grandparents, what I had ordered. And the one time she asked, and I said, it's veal Parmesan. And her response was, that's a baby cow.
Oh.
You do that to like a child, one who loves animals, and you just traumatize them. That to this day, like, I still can't do it.
So you're okay with eating old cow, just baby cow?
Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't grow up like near a farm, because I probably would be like, cows are pets and so are pigs, and I would not eat anything other than what came from the sea, but, you know.
Understood. Understood. All right. So you want to move on to dessert?
Yes, let's talk about dessert.
Okay. So for dessert, we had three options. One was their tiramisu, which is uh, always on the menu, always amazing. It comes in an oversized coffee cup with the little what would you call those, the little coffee, the sticks coming out of the tiramisu,
They look
the
kinda
little
like
pastries.
straws.
Yeah, the little pastries.
Yeah, what are they?
Yeah, so those. It's amazing. The tiramisu
It's
is
escaping my
always
mind.
yeah, it's always a hit. But it's always on the menu. So you're not getting anything super new. Um, but it truly is worth an experience to have if you've never had it. So if there's two of you, my advice is to order one of all of the dessert options. The tiramisu is only $5. It's totally worth the extra money. So that supplement, the tiramisu, $5 extra. So the two menu items for the magical dining menu is what you see here, which is the torta della nonna. It's honey, pine nuts, and raspberry. I know it looks like a key lime pie, but it's not. It's a little tort. So it's about, I don't know, half an inch tall off the plate. The flavors are incredible, and the raspberry spread on the plate is to die for. The whole thing is just perfect, and it is a little bit of an homage to a chef's grandmother. It's just done in a different way.
Nice.
Hence the name Torta della Nonna. But the show winner for me and anybody who likes chocolate is this one right here, and that is the salted caramel budino. Now,
Mm.
so even though it looks just like pudding, it is not. So the budino is chocolate, coffee, and vanilla cream. So you've got this mix that's very pudding esque, and you've got 3 dollops of the cream with some coffee and chocolate on the top. But once you get into it, inside of that luscious chocolate is a little cake that has a little bit of there's a flavor to the cake. I don't think it's alcohol, but the salted caramel comes through, the chocolate comes through. It's good. I mean, there's no way around it. It's my favorite. After the tiramisu, this is probably my favorite dessert I've ever had at Ravello. So there's that, or the torta della nonna, and if you wanted to, you could add the coffee tiramisu. And of course, they've got a great selection of coffees, cappuccinos, lattes. I had some hot tea while I was there because I was starting to feel kind of funky, and so yeah, that's the menu for just one of the amazing restaurants for magical dining.
One of the things that I have to recommend that people try when they go to Ravello is definitely end your night with Fabrizio's homemade limoncello. He has them in flavors, and I've tried, I think, like 4 of the different flavors. My favorite is always the cream limoncello. It is just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And if you've ever been to Italy and had house-made limoncello in Italy, it's like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so good. It's nothing like what you buy at the liquor store.
Oh no, not even close.
You can't compare it. It's like comparing like a shirt from Walmart to
An Affliction T-shirt. Very expensive, super high cotton T-shirt. It's two totally different things. It's amazing.
yeah.
The thing about that is Chef has his lemon flavored limoncello, which is a mainstay, which I highly encourage you to try it. But if you have at the end of your night and you don't know which flavor you want, they have a tour of Italy that I think offers 3. I think 2 ounce pours, 1 ounce or 2 ounce. I'm fairly confident it's 2 ounce. That you can have. So if you have a couple people at your table, you can each have one specifically, and then you could share one. My favorite is the mixed berry. They have a strawberry because we have a lot of strawberries here, which is really, really good. But the mixed berry limoncello is by far and away uh, the best. And they also have a chocolate limoncello, which is pretty amazing too. So you can't go wrong.
I
And
have not tried the mixed berry one.
it's great. I mean, it's blueberries, blackberries, strawberries all mixed together flavor wise, and then you have that limoncello base singing through it. It's amazing. And the other thing, Chef is also playing around with some other cocktails that are very unique to Ravello, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was almost for me alcohol wise too much, because it was literally like grain alcohol mixed with his little concoction, and it was really, really good. But I had already had, and this was not last Tuesday, this was on the trip before. I'd already had a couple glasses of wine and a couple glasses of limoncello, so I was already feeling it. And then Chef tried this new thing out that he was wanting to bring out, and I mean, if Chef Fabrizio walks up to your table and says, "How would you like to try this?" the answer is always yes, and it's always going to be incredible.
I would like to have. I need to try a Campari drink, at Ravello, because my family thinks I'm nuts because I like Campari, and it's a very popular liqueur in Italy. It's like everywhere, but it's bitter, like Beverly kind of bitter.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more flavor than just like bitter too. Whereas Beverly to me is just bitter flavored pop.
For the sake of being bitter.
Yeah. Whereas like Campari, often you'll find it in restaurants. They serve it with club soda.
Right.
But I'd love to try one of his cocktails made with it, because I'm sure that's quite amazing.
Yeah, and their bartenders there are really, really talented. The one thing that they didn't do this year that they did last time was they had a signature bourbon cocktail. They didn't have that last time, and I was very disappointed. But I've gone there and walked up to the bar, and the bartender says, "What can I get for you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, surprise me." And she asked me what liqueur I liked and what kind of flavor profile I liked, and I don't really know what she put in front of me, but it was pretty phenomenal.
I bet.
Yeah, that was the night that then Chef brings out the rolling cart of like 9 different flavors of limoncello. He's picked 3. I'm like, I can't. So
can I have one of like an ounce of each or half an ounce of each? That's
right.
what I would want to do.
Right.
I want to try all of them.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's, if you're going there with people and you're strategic about it, you could probably make that happen. I'm sure that they'd be willing to kind of help you out. Their staff at this restaurant is, and I will get into trouble for this, so I'll go ahead and apologize now. Disney fans, I bleed Mickey red, but I get into conversations with people all the time, and they try to convince me that the Grand Floridian is the best resort on property. To which I would say, if you were talking about Disney-owned and operated resorts, yes, it is the best resort on property. But if you're just talking about hands down, the best service, the best restaurants, the best overall guest experience, even if you're just going for, not ice cream, but the
Gelato.
Gelato.
Lickety Split.
Yeah, or coffee at Lickety Split. The experience of going there and having everybody treat you like a prince or a princess truly is remarkable. And then you go to a place like Ravello, the Italian place, or Kappa at the top, or even the pool bar and grill out in the middle of the pool area. You can't beat the experience. And that's why I love the magical dining, because you get to experience different types of restaurants that aren't necessarily Disney, and you get to experience different levels of service and different quality, and you really do come away normally appreciating Disney. But when you find a gem like Ravello, it's hard to go somewhere else. It's really
Oh,
hard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say that I agree with you when it comes to Disney resorts, Disney owned and operated. Disney, like Grand Floridian's the best of those. However, when it comes to within those gates, Grand Floridian is probably number 3.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you would probably say one of the Hiltons, Bonnet Creek,
No,
Waldorf.
Waldorf Astoria.
Yeah.
That place, like literally, they are always they're just as attentive and helpful and professional as Four Seasons staff is.
Right.
It's that, do you need directions somewhere, ma'am?
Right.
Where, can I help you with this? Oh, here, let me get that bag for you.
Sure. Yeah.
That all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, staying at Four Seasons has been out of our current price range.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I have been fortunate enough to spend a few nights over at Waldorf and experience their hotel service as well.
Right.
And those 2 places and the food restaurants at both those places are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like I tell people I recommend both places all the time for people who are looking for food and they want a really nice evening out. They're looking for a great experience and great food. And I'm like, these are the places you need to go.
Right.
I just recommended Ravello earlier this week to a doctor that I know. He's going to be going down to Orlando like next week, I think. And he was like, okay, where do I need to make reservations? I was like, and he's Italian.
Right.
With a last name Langone. He's very Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, it was like, you want to go to Ravello, and the chef is from Italy. Like,
yeah,
he's amazing.
Yeah. He Fabrizio is not only is he amazing, but he's just a nice guy and comes over and just chats because, he knows Tony because Tony's there almost every day. And he's starting to recognize me because I'm going more often, not only with Tony, but on my own. And I'm starting to know more of the service staff there. And, chef comes over and just has a chat. We interviewed him for 10 minutes. Nobody else was interviewing him. Just say, hey, you got 5 minutes. We can talk to you somewhere. He's like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it right now. And, I can't say his full name's like Abu Nadib, but I always call him Ab. He's one of the servers there. He's going to school at UCF, smart as a whip, just super nice. I keep telling him to call me John, and he won't do it. He won't call me John.
Really?
Call me Sir. And just it's such a high level of service and quality. It really will ruin you for Disney because you love Disney and you want Disney to be the best. And sometimes it's not always that magical experience. And I'm not talking bad about Disney. I love Disney, but if you're coming to Florida, if you're coming to Orlando and you happen to be coming during magical dining, or if you don't make magical dining, you do yourself a favor, take the time, take a little bit of money and go to Ravello at least and just experience it. It will really be the best dining experience you've had in a while. And I'm a big dude. I eat a lot, so I know of which I speak, So yeah. Hands down, can't recommend it enough.
Was it last year or the year before that we went and it was during Magical Dining Month and we had the private room? Was that last year?
I believe it was a year before.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an experience.
That was fun.
That was incredible. That was really incredible. And there's one thing about going to places that aren't necessarily Disney. Now, when you go to Disney resorts or the theme parks, every now and then you'll have one of those magical moments. A cast member will do something that totally is unexpected and it's totally amazing. And then sometimes you go other places like, I've gone to Ravello and had the experience like with you last year, or, a few weeks ago, a friend of ours came in from California, and we went to Sanaa for bread service because she wanted kind of like a local experience. So we went to Sanaa, and she had a blast, and it was amazing. And we didn't make a reservation. We just did like locals do. We just went in, sat in the bar area, got a table, ordered bread service, and a bottle of wine, and then she wanted something kind of unique for dessert. And we said, "Hey, let's go to the Four Seasons. Let's go to Ravello." And it blew her mind, and just was an amazing. It was like a Thursday evening, nothing going on, and it was a great experience. And then they just cater to you. So then you go to places like Disney Springs has the Polite Pig, which is one of my favorite places to go because it's a bourbon restaurant, and I'm friends with a bunch of people there because I go there a lot. And we do a live thing. We basically borrowed/stole your idea of doing a live show on Facebook, and we got a group of people together for the very first time when we went to the Polite Pig, and so there we are with like 10 people, and that was for their bourbon experience. So the manager said, next time you do that, let me know you're coming. And I was like, okay. And I thought that he wanted to make sure that he had the table reserved and all that stuff. So I let him know. And the next thing I know is like food's hitting the table and everybody's drinks are comped, and, just, is there anything else we could do for you? And they don't have to do any of that stuff, but they do it. And that's the thing about magical dining or going to resorts at Disney or just going to different places. Disney's great. I love Disney. I always will. But there are other places that do it just as good, if not maybe even a little bit better.
And the one thing is with restaurants that are not owned by Disney, and they only have that company only has that restaurant or a select group of restaurants. Like the Patina Group has a few restaurants, around Disney.
Yeah.
So they have less, and therefore they're also a lot of times, especially if you're local and you visit this place because you love the food, you love the drink, you love the service, and you're visiting frequently, they have the ability to do their own version of a magical moment for you because they appreciate your business. They want you to continue to come back. And so they're going to go that little extra mile. And I can say that as somebody who, the way that I paid for college is I waited tables the entire time because there was no other way I could afford to go to school. Yeah. And so I went to school and waited tables at the same time. And you start to you get regulars at every restaurant. You have regulars and they get to know you. And because of that, they'll sometimes go that extra mile.
Right.
Or if you come in and and this is something working with kids that I try and teach them all the time. You need to be kind and polite all the time because you never know.
Sure.
You could not only does that make your day better, you're making somebody else's day better.
Right.
And as you get older, you're going to learn that sometimes that there's a reward for that by being kind. Because as a server, if I had somebody who would come in and they were like extra nice and they're telling me about, this is their anniversary and things like that, I'd go to the manager and be like, these people are here and they're really, really nice people. They're having a good time. Could we maybe like comp them a dessert, or could we bring them something extra? And I actually turned people that were my first time visitors into regulars when I waited tables. One of them, I even invited the couple to my wedding because they would wait 3 hours to have me wait on them
Sure.
because their first experience was so good at the restaurant.
Yeah, and if you've ever been in the hospitality industry, that's why we talk about it, because we're paying attention to it. We've told you our STK story. STK is the high end steak. It's kind of like Ruth's Chris in Disney Springs. It's amazing. We used to be really good friends with the manager there when he was there before he transferred. My mom was coming in, and we wanted her to go to STK, and we had just missed Magical Dining because my birthday's in October. And we just point blank asked, said, hey, we're going to miss Magical Dining, but my mom's coming in. Is there any way we could figure something out? And he's like, absolutely. It's your birthday. Your mom's coming in. We'll figure something out. And so he came in. We got there, and we sat down and we ordered. And then appetizers just started appearing on our table that we didn't order. And we're like, we didn't order that. And they're like, we know. This is from Chris. Happy birthday. And we didn't order that. Oh, we know. This is from Chris. Mom, welcome to Florida. Welcome home. It's like, wow, that was amazing. So we go on in the dinner, and it starts raining, and they had some problems with their sliding glass door was leaking.
Oh, no.
So Chris is out there in a suit and tie, putting sandbags up against the door, trying to stop the leak. And I'm just wearing jeans and a shirt, and I had a t-shirt on underneath it. And so I take my shirt off, and I go out in my jeans and my flip-flops, and I start picking up sandbags and putting them down. He's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm helping you keep the restaurant from flooding. What do you think I'm doing? And I didn't do it because of anything, like expecting anything. I mean, he'd already gone so far out of his way. It was ridiculous. And then when the bill came, he had comped all of our drinks and given us the friends and family discount, and was like 15% off of everything that we'd eaten, on top of the discounts that we already had being pass holders.
Wow.
So a little bit of effort goes a long way, especially in the eyes of a manager or a wait staff. And I don't always get that feeling at certain resorts that are owned and operated by a theme park that we all love. You know, it doesn't. I don't feel that way, and that's why the Patina Group restaurants, or Levi restaurants, or Levy restaurants, or Four Seasons, or those restaurants just respond a little bit better to guests.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So
it's
yes. So we went down a rabbit trail.
So we know where we know where we keep coming back to. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, go to Ravello.
We all love Disney restaurants. I mean, one of my favorite places. Again, my last name, for those of you that have seen it, but you're like, how do you pronounce that? It's Hetzel. It's
like pretzel.
German. It's like, yeah. The O has a slight sound, and I cannot do it because our language doesn't contain that same sound. So my mouth doesn't want to do that. But it's like super cool to see somebody who's either from like Germany, Austria, or Switzerland, have them read my name because they can say it the right way.
Right.
So it's always entertaining. I'm like, here, this is my last name. Pronounce it,
right. Right.
But because of that, I really like going to Beer Garden. It's a buffet. Right. It's in the Germany Pavilion at Epcot, Disney owned.
Right.
But they have great German food. Mm-hmm. It's not high end. It's not crazy. The whole staff's from Germany. So it's, we don't dislike the restaurants at Disney if it kind of sounds that way. Because, of course, why would, we podcast Disney stuff because we love Disney.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
And there's great Disney places on the menu. Now, I will say, like the Magical Dining menu, there's no Disney restaurants on the menu this year, which is different. There's no
oh,
there's no Disney resort menus like crud.
oh, who
What
was it
there's
last?
um
I'll find it.
yeah, but like Swan and Dolphin have some of their places, Il Molino, Hemingway's,
I actually
but
have the list up here of the
yeah,
restaurants that are
um,
on it in the area. We can go over
yeah,
those real quick too.
sure. But the restaurants that are Disney flavored are the ones in Disney Springs or Swan and Dolphin. There's no Disney resort restaurants like the Wave. The Wave was always part of it, which is at the Contemporary Resort. The Wave's not on it this year.
The
Or
Turf Club was on it.
yeah,
Olivia's
Turf Club.
Cafe, Chico, the cooking place, Grand
Right,
Floridian Cafe,
right,
and Boatwright's Dining Hall were all on it last year.
right. And we went to a lot of those. Well, I don't know why Disney decided not to play along, but they're not playing along this year. But the ones that are on the menu this year that are not a Disney resort, how do I say that?
Not
Partner
Disney owned and
hotels. Yeah, partner
owned and
hotels.
operated.
You've got Bongos, which is the Gloria Stefan owned place next to the House of Blues in Disney Springs. You've got what else is here? Maria Nenzo's.
And we already
More,
mentioned El Molino.
yeah, Morimoto Asia, Paddlefish, STK, and Terralina Crafted Italian, as well as Wine Bar George.
Todd English's Blue Zoo is also on there.
Yeah, but that's not yeah. Todd English is there. Landry's is also at Swan and Dolphin. There's one other one.
Those are the only ones I know that are on, like within the 4 gates.
Oh well, no, because you've got Andiamo and Benihana, which is the Hilton Buena Vista. And then you've got Deep Blue Sea, and there's one other one which is somewhere in the Bonnet Creek area, Lakeside Bar and Grill, and I can't remember what resort that is in. Let's see, hang on. And then Zeta Asia is also in the.
That's at Hilton Bonnet Creek.
Right. There you go. Right.
It
So
used to
got
just
some of the
be
places.
Zeta. They changed the name of it. It used to just be Zeta.
Right.
That's why that didn't click in my mind when I saw that at first.
Yeah. Zeta Asia, Asian and Pacific Rim cuisine. You know, the movie was okay. I'm just not sure I want to eat any food from it. Sorry. But Morimoto
I
Asia
never
is on
saw
the
that
list.
movie. I was like, no, I'm not doing that movie. No,
But Morimoto Asia is on the list. Paddlefish is on that list. STK is on the list. Those 3 restaurants right there. If you're coming in for some Disney time and you want to eat at some amazing places, those 3 restaurants are totally worth it. I cannot in good conscience, and I'm sorry, I cannot in good conscience encourage you to go to Maria Nenzo's. It's just not that great.
I was so disappointed in that.
Well, and here's the scary thing. I was going to leave this until after we got off air, but the new chef that's only been there for a month and a half, Will, at Ravello, was at Maria Nenzo's. And the thing is, we talked to him about it, and he says, "Yeah, there were some issues there, and that's one of the reasons why I'm no longer there." I'm like, "All right, if the quality of the food goes down at Ravello, you and I are going to have a chat." And he was like, "Yes, sir." So yeah,
wow.
but there's a lot of amazing places, and and if you're willing to do an Uber somewhere, I mean, they got all those places on Restaurant Row, which is not that far away. Plus, I know that it's a Disney podcast, but there's a lot of great places at that place down the road.
We can say it. I have no problem with it being said on my podcast because it does exist.
Yeah.
You know, people that'll call it like the Devil Park or that other place, that kind of thing. I'm like, here, It is what it is. And you know what? Every place has its own place in the world. And just because
Sure.
I'm a Disney fan doesn't mean I'm not a Universal fan. Because I'll tell you, I love me some Harry Potter. Like
Yeah.
that, because we had an annual pass for a year to earn a Universal. And I
Right.
loved it. It was so much fun. And it was it's so different than going to Disney. And it just was a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
And
it's a different vibe over
hopefully,
there.
there's a good possibility next year we'll get an annual pass again, because I
Yeah,
can
and
spend
there's
all day hanging out and not being able to get a Coke or a Yingling or anything else when you go to Harry Potter that is not Harry Potter. That
right.
is the one thing food wise I want to see Disney do. I want them to say, we will not have anything that would not exist in this world. I want to see it with Star Wars. I'm putting it out there. Please, no Coke products in Star Wars. Like when Galaxy's Edge is done, I want it to be as if I really was going to wherever we are. You know?
Right. I don't know if that's going to work out.
I
But
don't think so. Disney won't do it.
right. But there's 4 restaurants on the list for Universal, and I've eaten at 3 of them. Amatista is at their what is the name of that? The new resort, the new Latin resort is really, really good.
The Sapphire Falls Resort.
Sapphire Falls Islands Dining Room is pretty good. I've not eaten at the kitchen, but I will tell you that you are missing out if you do not take the time to experience Mama Della's Restaurante at least once in your life. Is it the Portofino Bay Resort? It's like going to Nona's house and having to just have a little meal. There's a person walking around strumming a guitar and a singer. And the food is ridiculously good. It's almost Ravello level food. You know, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more. What's the word that they normally say? It's a little bit more down home.
Yeah.
Italian. Ravello seems to be a little bit more high end.
More like actually if you were going to somebody's house in Italy to have food
Right.
versus going to
right. So, but yeah, I can't recommend Mama Della's enough. It's amazing. But there's so many. There's I think somewhere around 100 restaurants, and if you don't know where to go, call me. I'll let you know a couple good places.
They don't need to call you. They need to visit you on the internet.
Oh, yes.
Social media. They
Yes.
need to hit you up via social media.
Yes. And you can find me Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all at WDW Park Hoppers. You can come to wdwparkhoppers.com and you can find me there. And I would love to chat with you about where you would like to have some magical dining.
I'm telling you, magical dining definitely well worth it. I mean, a lot of the restaurants for $35, that would just cover the cost of an entree.
Oh yeah.
It's such a good value. You've got great restaurants on the list, no matter where in Orlando you're going. The restaurants are phenomenal that are on here.
Right.
And then, you just can't beat it. You can't beat it. And they've extended the amount of time, because I remember when it would start September 1st and end September 30th.
Right.
And last year, I think was the first year that they started in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year's the same way. I mean, by the time you guys are listening to this, if you're not watching it on YouTube, today is the 23rd. So it kicks off Friday, August 24th.
Right.
So chances are when you're listening to this, it has already kicked off and you can try all of this phenomenal food. And I'll tell you, when we went last year or the year before, or maybe it was both years, when we went in September, we tried several restaurants on the list because we're like, for $35, you get appetizer, entree, dessert, at an amazing restaurant that you may not get a chance to go to otherwise. So
Yeah, no, I can't afford anything at SDK normally, but for $35, I can have a nice appetizer, a nice piece of meat, and dessert. Heck yeah, every day of the week I'd do it if I could afford it.
right.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
why that's why people need to give to your Patreon, right?
that's right, right, right. The thing is, it's just the best time of year to be an Orlando native because not only do we have magical dining going on, we also have Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival. And then I believe, unless things have changed, the Swan and Dolphins got their classic, the Food and Wine Classic, sometime
yes,
in October, I believe.
it is. I need a calendar.
If they're still doing it.
October 26th. Yeah, I want to say it's 26th and 27th. Whatever
Yeah.
that Friday is. I'm almost would put money on it that
Sure.
I'm right that it's the 26th and 27th.
Right.
But it's that particular weekend. I may be off by like a day or two. So if I am, please don't give me grief. I'm really trying.
I'm doing all I can.
My memory is not like my brain only can store so much information.
Well, I mean, people should try to do a live show or a podcast, and then they'll figure out that you're trying to juggle, questions and answers and keep it moving and time, and it's challenging. So yeah, cut her some slack, folks.
And then Waldorf Astoria also does their food and wine weekends too.
Ooh.
And theirs actually kicks off later than Disney does. They start on September 14th and run through November 11th, and it's going to be events on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I have to still write this article about it up, but I'll tell you that is also another great event to go to, and it is the perfect time, either Friday or Saturday nights. Bull and Bear does a extensive menu with different things that you can choose from, and it's incredible. They do they've got like a first, second, third, fourth, fifth course meal. And then you can add a wine pairing too. And they've got two options for that. It's the sommelier pairing or the captain's pairing.
Right.
And every time we go, we end up with the same server. Last year, I even made sure when I had contacted them, I was like, this is who I want. I'm almost 100% positive. His name's Tim. And unfortunately, thank you, Irma. She made me come home instead of being able to go to it because it was hitting and we had to, and they had even decided like they were canceling it for that weekend. They were going to start it the following week because of the hurricane. So
yeah,
ruined my fun.
Yeah, she did more than just ruin my fun.
That's true. She attacked your house.
You got off lucky.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think we may have to do some of these fun things when we come down during food and wine. We've got to make a dinner arrangement for one of these amazing places that we like to eat.
Yes, we do, my friend. You guys, can't wait to see you guys hang out and go have an amazing dinner. Maybe we'll hit up Ravello again, or we'll go someplace else. The Waldorf Astoria, I don't think I've ever been there, so I'd be interested in going and hanging out there for a while.
Okay. We're going to mark it on the calendar. We're going to do Bull and Bear. You can, for those of you that look at the menu and you go, I don't know if that's for me. Their special menu for the event. Pull up the regular menu because it's also available.
I've never eaten there, so I would love to go to Bull and Bear.
I'll tell you, this year on the menu, they have a maple smoked island salmon and a petite filet of beef and stuffed lobster tail. You get both of them.
Wow. I'm in. Let's
Right?
go. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay, mark it down.
Let's
Mark
go.
it down.
I'm ready to go now. I'm hungry. I haven't had dinner yet.
Either way. I came straight from work, got on the computer, and that was that. So I'm still in my work clothes, which is why I'm wearing Star Wars. That's the one wonderful thing about working with children is
Right?
I can wear all of my Disney clothes to work, and it makes me cool.
Well, you are cool. I don't care what they say.
So okay, so that wraps up our show. Again, don't forget, visit Orlando's Magical Dining Month. You can check that out. 3 courses, $35. Going on now through September 30th. Make sure to check out Ravello. It is more than worth the money. Those of you that are listening to this from Apple Podcast, if you want to take a look at those dishes, eventually, hopefully this weekend, I will get a post up with all of those menu items in it. If not, you can check out all the dishes on our YouTube channel because that's where we broadcast to, is on YouTube. So,
Yep.
John, remind everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at wdwparkhoppers.com. You can check out all of our blog posts. You can check out our podcast as well as links to date night ideas. We're also currently finishing up a brand new book, Top 10 Disney Lounges. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all at WDW Parkhoppers.
And if they check out the podcast, they also get, well, they can see it on Facebook.
Right.
And you get to check out his lovely wife, who is also a great friend of ours, Sid.
Yeah, we do that Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time at facebook.com/WDW Parkhoppers. And what we do is we usually go to someplace really cool and podcast live from somewhere at Disney. And this Tuesday night, we're going to be at Terralina Crafted Italian.
Nice. Are you going to get that nice appetizer tower we got last time?
I don't think it's on the magical dining list, but if it is,
you're doing magical dining, nice.
Yes, if it's there, yes, we will be having that tower of awesome.
That was really, really good. Right. I could go for that and a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could probably put a big chunk in that as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Tony, my online wife, I like to call him, over at DisneyParksPodcast.com. You can check that out as well. We do a live thing on Monday nights. You can check that out. And yeah, there you go.
And Tony will be the one actually writing up the article all about the food, as John got the job of getting to be on a live on our live show, whereas Tony gets to be since he's back at Ravello again. That's where he is right now.
Yeah,
he's there for their wine dinner, so
yeah,
he's eating and drinking well.
Yeah, he's at the Inquisitor wine dinner, and I think he's going back again this weekend. And I know we're going there the following Friday for magical dining. We're doing that on Friday, and Saturday we're going to STK.
You know what's crazy? I don't think I've ever seen Tony drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah, right. I know. He had Prosecco with me last night, and he had red wine. I had white, he had red, and it's weird. I've seen him drink beer, but I've never seen him drink wine. And he's got to be in the right frame of mind, I think.
Right.
He's a beer guy. I am too, but
I don't even call Tony a beer guy. He usually gets what is it? The hard ciders, Aces, and he always has the alcoholic pops. I can't think of
the Mike's Hard Lemonade.
That too. He always has that stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. He's a weird bird, but I love him. What can I say?
That's okay. You and I drink enough for for him anyway.
And
It
then
just
some.
means more for us.
That's right. And then some. So yeah. So you and me and Aljon and Sid could put a dent in some alcohol. So
That's true.
we're all good.
Well, as far as dining at Disney, of course, you can find us at diningatdisney.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Just search for Dining at Disney. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, bon appetit.